But I thought that was dishonest, and truth is in my name.
Whether it's scientific truth or historical truth or personal truth.
Hi guys, Skido64 here, and today we're talking about Star Trek again. That's right, coming at you with another Star Trek video, and today we'll be trying to answer the question, who is the best ensign? And there are three categories I'm going to be assigning different ensigns to determine who is the best ensign to answer that question. So first is, who is the best at their job in universe? Like, if you were building a crew, who would be the ensign you'd bring on to be on your bridge crew? Who would you want to assign? Who do you think is the best at their job? So that's the first category, right? Number two is, who is the best character out of the ensign? Who do you think has the best character growth? Is the character you like the most? I mean, obviously all of these things are very subjective. So I'm going to be basing who I think is the best character out of the ensigns that we have listed here. And then number three is, who has the best episode, right? Lots of characters have different episodes where they are at the forefront, where they are the focus of the episode. So with those being the case and racking up all of the episodes that are character focused with those characters, who has the best episode? So those are the three things I'm going to be looking at and ranking everybody here. But there's also a fourth category in addition to those three categories, which is the votes from my community tab will come into play, and they are a whole category in and of themselves. So there'll be four categories that will all be coming into play to determine who is the best ensign. Like I said, I'll be addressing all three of these. I'll be ranking the ensigns across TOS, TNG, DS9, Voyager, and Enterprise. I'm not going to be including anything from New Trek. I'm not really a fan of New Trek. I don't really think that that's a secret at this point.
What? No.
There are some things that I'm liking about some of the things that they're doing now, but for the most part, I'm just not a fan of New Trek. So I'm not going to really be doing anything past Enterprise. This is a positive video, so I just want to talk about the Star Trek stuff that I like myself. If you like New Trek, that's great. I'm just not talking about it for the purposes of this video. But with all that said, let's go ahead and jump into the video. And the first thing we'll be looking at is, who is the best ensign in universe? Who's the best at their job? So coming in at number 6 is Nog. I like Nog a lot, but for the purposes of who I think is the best ensign, who's the best at their job, I would probably have to put Nog at the bottom. So one, he has the least amount of training out of all of the ensigns, and that's mainly due to the fact he never actually completed his full stint at the Starfleet Academy. He obviously got a lot of hands-on experience working because of the Dominion War. The Dominion War is why he didn't finish his his time at Starfleet Academy. So he does have some hands-on training, which is good, but he's very, very green. And like I said, he just has the least amount of experience. He feels like he has a lot to prove, which I think gets him in trouble a lot. We saw that in how he interacted with Red Squadron in that episode. I'll be talking a little bit more of that later. Some of the positives, he's the first Ferengi, which gives him in Starfleet, he's first Ferengi in Starfleet, which gives him a unique perspective on things. So that's kind of a positive. On the flip side, he feels like he has a lot to prove because of that, right? He's always trying to fit in. He has a positive attitude, which is a pro, right? Positive attitudes, you either have it or you don't have it. You can't be taught. So he's definitely not a bad ensign, but for the purposes of if I was building a crew, who would I want? Nog would probably be towards the bottom of my list. Obviously, the bottom of my list in this category. Coming in at number 5 is Laren, literally the first Bajoran that we meet in Star Trek, right? She's very adversarial and insubordinate at times. There are some times when, questioning superiors can be beneficial. There's a time and a place for everything. You need some tact when you're going to do that. Unfortunately, Laren doesn't have tact at all.
There will be members of this crew who will not want to serve with Ensign Laren, sir.
She has a lot of experience fighting, which is definitely a pro. She is definitely ahead, has more experience than her age would suggest. So that's a plus. But ultimately, the fact that she questions her superior so freely, I think is detrimental. So I would put her at number 5. Coming in number 4, I would say is Chekov. To me, Chekov's kind of the baseline ensign. Like, he is the average Starfleet ensign that you would want. Like, he's good at his job. I mean, really, the negatives for him are basically the outside forces that affect him. He gets mind controlled quite a few times. He gets tricked a lot. He gets distracted a lot in TOS. So, that's kind of a drawback for him. But other than that, he kind of just does his job, and, he's good at his job. So, yeah, I'd put him in number 4. Coming number 3, I'd put Travis Mayweather. He's a good pilot. He doesn't say much or get involved in much. He doesn't have a whole lot going on. Just like Chekov, he's good at his job. He grew up on a freighter, so he spent his entire life in space. So he's definitely adept at living in space and used to living in space. So, he's, again, not much character there, but he's definitely really good at his job and one of the best pilots that we see, at least in this era of Enterprise. So yeah, Travis Mayweather at number 3. Number 2, I would go with Harry Kim, the most green of the ensigns to begin with, outside of Nog, but he's also the one I think that grows the most out of all of them throughout his time on the individual shows. So he shows a level of leadership that I think is missing from most of the other ensigns here. Like, especially by the time we get 7 years, seeing Harry grow, like, he shows a level of leadership that you're like, I could definitely see this guy being a captain.
Starfleet Command finds out I had anything to do with this, they'll demote me back to ensign.
So I'd put him in number 2. He's a go-getter. He doesn't have as much of proof that's a detriment to himself, like where we're seeing from Nog. So yeah, I think Harry Kim is a solid ensign at number 2. Number 1, I would say, is Wesley Crusher. I mean, he's the boy genius with mysterious powers, and it gives him the ability to bend space and time. I mean, why would you not want someone like that on your crew? I mean, geez, he's just good at everything. That's kind of his character, right? He was acting ensign for years without ever actually going through the academy. He's chosen to be part of Red Squad, which, is the premier squad at Starfleet Academy, which just showcases, how, good he is. So yeah, I mean, Wesley Crusher would have to be the number 1 pick, just because, again, he's a genius and he has mysterious powers to bend space and time. Again, how would you not want that on your crew, right? So moving on to the next category, we're going to be looking at who is the best character, who has the best character story, growth, and everything else. And obviously all of this is completely subjected to myself, right? So coming in at number 6, I would definitely put Travis Mayweather at the bottom here. He's arguably the biggest non-character in Trek. He isn't even given anything to do in 4 seasons, right? He has the least amount of lines of any main character. He isn't like a bad character necessarily. He just doesn't do anything. He doesn't really have much charisma. There's not much to him. And yeah, so I would definitely say he is coming at the bottom here as far as who's the best character, right? Number 5, I would probably go with Wesley Crusher. And that's mainly due to the fact that he's really annoying in his earlier seasons. He's very annoying early on.
Don't you think you're overreacting a little?
Now, I actually do like the character in later seasons. Like, I legit like the character. Not ironically, I think he grows a lot as a character in the later seasons. I think that he's good in those guest starring things. I actually like him. I like him. Once he leaves Enterprise for the Academy, I think that opened up a lot of potential for him, and I think he's definitely the type of character less is more. But mainly, I'm putting him so low on the list because of his earlier, seasons he's just annoying in the earlier seasons. There's no way around it. So yeah, I think at number 5, I think I'm okay with that one. Number 4, I'm going to go with Harry Kim. As I said earlier, he's probably the one that grew the most. Not only did he grow the most as an ensign, I think he's probably the one who grew the most throughout his time on Voyager and actually has some progression to him. And by the end of it, as I said, you could see that he would probably be a full lieutenant or something like that if they weren't like trapped in the Delta Quadrant. He has a lot of leadership skills. I liked seeing him change from this greenhorn to more of a commanding officer by the end of his time on Voyager. His journey is what I liked more so than the character himself, but I think the story is a big part of the character building. So I think that Harry Kim is pretty solid. He's kind of like Geordi too, as far as he has bad luck with women.
Are you in love with me, Ensign?
No.
I mean, I don't know what I mean.
But yeah, I like the story more so than the character. I think number 4 for Harry Kim, I'm pretty confident with. Coming in number 3 is Chekov. Honestly, the only reason why I'm putting him in numbers 3 is I just like Chekov. I just think he's really likable. As far as character progression and character story and all that, he doesn't necessarily have that. But he's got a lot of charisma, and I just like him. He's a likable character, and he's funny. I just like Chekov. I'm putting him in number 3.
Let's take it from the top. The top of what? Name. My name?
No, my name.
I do not know your name.
Coming number 2 is Laren. She has a handful of episodes, like 7 or 8. I think she's only like 7 or 8 episodes, but she had an impact on the crew and the audience. Her adversarial nature created some interesting dynamics with certain crew members. Riker specifically, I think was pretty interesting. Relationship between her and Riker in those episodes, as well as her and Picard as well. Now, her loose allegiance to Starfleet also created a lot of an interesting perspective that I think was unique, especially within TNG. She's the wild card in the deck, and she brought a lot to the crew. And she was the first introduction to Bajorans, as I said before. She was originally supposed to be in DS9 as the main character, but they kind of reworked that character into Kira Nerys. So yeah, Laren is a solid character. She stands out, even though only being in like 7 or 8 episodes. So yeah, Laren at number 2, I think is solid. And number 1, as far as the best character, I'm going to go with Nog. This is me personally. Nog started out as the annoying best friend who served to just cause Jake trouble earlier in DS9, and really just served to contrast Ferengi culture with human culture, more of an individual level between Jake and Nog. But he really becomes an interesting character when he joins Starfleet, when he makes that decision to join Starfleet.
I want to be the first Ferengi in Starfleet. Now, who do I see about getting a uniform?
He's the first Ferengi to do so, as I said earlier. Seeing him as a young ensign thrown into the Dominion War leads to some great stories, and I'm going to get into a little bit of that later. It really does give a different perspective on humans, or how the view of humans from alien culture can change when you take away the niceties. It was very interesting things that they did with Nog as a character to explore interesting themes. And the best episode with Nog is definitely It's Only Paper Moon. I'm going to get into this here shortly, but where he deals with PTSD and he's hiding in the holodeck. Great episode, and great character stuff. I just think Nog is the best character personally. A lot of growth. Nog's great. Number 1 for this one for sure. So the number 3 category, who has the best episode? The criteria here is that the character has to be the primary focus of the episode in order to count. That's a criteria I'm looking at. So with that being said, coming in at number 6 is Chekov, right? One of the things particularly with TOS is that there really aren't character-focused episodes like the other series. Really, with TNG onwards, you got a lot of character-focused and, stuff that actually built out the characters. TOS really revolved around Kirk, Spock, and Bones as the main characters, and TOS really focused more on the missions and the thematic elements and the stories more so than the characters in comparison to the rest of Star Trek. So, there really isn't an individual episode that I remember or could think of where Chekov is the primary focus of the episode. Spectre of the Gun is the only one I could think of, but it really wasn't a character. It wasn't focused on him as a character. Just he was one of the focal points of the episode. But I don't know, maybe there's one and I just don't know about it. So if there's an episode where Chekov is the primary character, comment and let me know. I can't think of one, so I'm going to put him at the bottom as far as who has the best episode.
Live. Oh yes, I'll live. But I won't enjoy it.
Coming in at number 5, I'm going to go with Travis Mayweather. He only has one single episode, just one, where he's featured, and that is a season 2 episode titled Horizon. It's where he goes back to the freighter that he grew up on after his father passed away, and seeing him interact with his family and kind of see how he grew up a little bit. It's really not a bad episode. It's a pretty decent episode, but it's the only one he has. And as I said, I mean, he's the biggest non-character in Star Trek that I can think of. They just don't really have much. He never does anything. He only has one episode. So yeah, Travis Mayweather coming in at number 5. Number 4, I'm going to go with Laren. There are a few good episodes with Laren taking center stage. Obviously, her introductory episode in self-titled Ensign Row. You also had The Next Phase, which I think is a pretty good episode, and that really had to deal with her questioning her faith. But she shared a little bit of that episode with Geordi, so I don't know if I would necessarily say she's the primary focus of that episode, but I would say Preemptive Strike is probably the best episode that she's in. Technically, she was a lieutenant by that episode, but it still counts. A lot of really good episodes with Laren, again, even though she's only in like 7 or 8 episodes. She has several episodes where she's the focus, so a lot of good episodes for Laren, but I would put her at number 4. Coming number 3 is Wesley Crusher. As I said earlier, I think the later episodes with Wesley are by far his best episodes. Season 4, the final mission in which he saves in Picard after he gets injured, I think that episode's a pretty good. Season 5, the game, which Wesley struggles to save the crew from a highly addictive, mind-altering game. I think that one is another episode that is pretty good. Ashley Judd guest stars in that episode as well, so that's pretty interesting. To me, definitely the best episode of Wesley Crusher is Season 5's First Duty. I think it's a great episode. It really showcases Wesley Crusher as a character, and it really has him struggle with his loyalty to his friends at Starfleet Academy and to the Truth and to the Enterprise and Picard. He's definitely torn here as far as what is the best thing to do, like what is the meaning of integrity. And this group that he's a part of is called the Nova Corps, and the whole idea of the Nova Corps was basically expanded on in DS9 with Red Squadron. Red Squadron was mentioned in at least two episodes, I know for sure, in DS9 mention Red Squadron. And Red Squadron is basically a premier flight within Starfleet Academy where only the best cadets are chosen to be a part of it. And we're seeing the beginnings of this idea with the Nova Corps in this episode. And it's just this, I think this is a good episode. The best one of Wesley Crusher. This is really what makes me like Wesley Crusher is this episode. I was not really a big fan of his final appearance in season 7. They try to wrap up the Traveler stuff, and it just felt kind of shoehorned. I didn't really like the way that he left Starfleet. It felt kind of forced. I never really bought it. I just felt like they were trying to tie up some loose ends as TNG was wrapping up. So I definitely wouldn't list that as his best episode. I would definitely say it's season 5's First Duty.
The first duty of every Starfleet officer is to the truth.
Coming in at number 2 is Nog. A lot of good episodes with Nog, but as far as Nog taking center stage in an episode, I would say the episode Valiant, where he and Jake end up on a ship being run by cadets, Red Squadron, it really shows his blind spots in him wanting to feel like he's fitting in and get approval from Starfleet and his peer group, as being kind of viewed like an outcast because he's a Ferengi. But that's not really necessarily a Nog centered episode because it's Nog and Jake. I think a lot of big moments in Nog's story come from episodes that he's not necessarily the focus on, but there is one episode that I think is a great episode and why I'm putting him in number 2 here, and that is It's Only a Paper Moon. This is the one after Nog's lost his leg in battle. He loses his confidence and struggles with PTSD, and he retreats into a holodeck program that was used in Las Vegas. It's a really good episode, a really solid episode, one I've seen a lot. I think it's one of the best episodes of DS9. This episode is entirely focused on Nog dealing with recovery, dealing with PTSD, and I think it's just a solid episode. It's a great episode, and just that episode alone puts Nog at number 2 on this. And coming in at number 1, I'm gonna have to go with Harry Kim. Harry Kim has the most individual character-centered episodes out of all the ensigns. Episodes like Non Sequitur, where Harry finds himself on Earth in an alternate reality where he never joined Voyager. Emanations, where he gets teleported to a distant planet and he's believed to have come from the afterlife, and he has to try and figure out a way back to Voyager by basically transporting himself through a coffin. A pretty interesting episode. It was an earlier on in Voyager's. The Shoot, which is a really solid episode, which involves Harry and Tom, where they're arrested and they're basically thrown down into this prison, and where he gets thrown down into the chute, and they're trying to figure out a way up, but they have clamps on him, and it messes with their aggression levels. And at the end of it, Harry almost kills Tom, because, that really good episode. But the best episode for Harry by far is the episode Timeless, which is Voyager's 100th episode after Harry fails to send proper information to Voyager as they're going through the slipstream. He knocks Voyager out of slipstream, and they crash onto an ice planet. And then 15 years go by, and he and Chakotay find Voyager and plan to send information through time to stop the crash from happening. It's a great episode. One of the better 100th episodes. I think it's one of the best Voyager episodes. It's definitely the best Harry episode and the best Ensign episode, in my opinion, which is why I'm putting Harry Kim at number 1 on this best episode list. So let's go ahead and recap all of the categories, all of the rankings. Then we're going to take a look at what all of you voted on, plug those numbers in, come up with our total, and determine who is the best Ensign. So first up is the character ranking. Coming in at number 6 is Travis Mayweather. Number 5 is Wesley Crusher. Number 4 is Harry Kim. Number 3 is Chekov. Number 2 is Ensign Rowe. And number 1 is Nog. Now for the Ensign rankings, we have number 6, Nog. Number 5, Laren. Number 4, Chekov. Number 3, Travis Mayweather. Number 2, Harry Kim. Number 1, Wesley Crusher. Now the best episode ranking. Coming in at number 6 is Chekov, Spectre of the Gun. That's the best guess I have. Number 5, Travis Mayweather with Horizon. Number 4, Laren with Preemptive Strike. Number 3, Wesley Crusher with The First Duty. Number 2, Nog, and It's Only a Paper Moon. And number 1, Harry Kim and Timeless. So that's where we're at right now. Let's go ahead and plug in the last category, which is what you voted on in the poll. So coming in at number 6 is Travis Mayweather, and that's because he's not listed on the poll, because I can only list 5 people on the poll. Although if I was a betting man, I would say Travis Mayweather was going to come in last anyway, so I don't feel too bad about it. So let's go ahead and move on to number 5 is Laren with 10% of the vote. Number 4 is Harry Kim with 14% of the vote. Number 3 is Nog with 19% of the vote. Number 2 is Wesley Crusher with 24% of the vote. And coming in number 1 is Chekov with 33% of the vote. One of the things I've noticed with the polls that I've posted so far is there's lots of love for the TOS characters. So I was not super surprised when Chekov came in first in this poll. Like I said, Chekov is just a likable character. Like I said, he's got a lot of charisma, and that's cool that he is number 1 for your votes.
This place is even better than Leningrad.
So based on this final category being plugged in, we're going to tally up all of the rankings, and this is like a golf system. So the more points you have, the worse it is. The less points you have, the better it is. It's just like golf. So coming in last place at number 6 is Travis Mayweather with 20 points. Coming in at number 5 is Laren with 16 points. Coming in at number 4 is Chekov with 14 points. Coming in at number 3 is Nog with 12 points. Coming in at number 2 is Wesley Crusher with 11 points. And coming in at number 1 is Harry Kim with 11 points. That's right. We got a two-way tie between Harry Kim and Wesley Crusher, both with 11 points. This I was really surprised about. I had no idea that we were going to end up with a tie. And I easily, after I tallied all this up and determined, oh, we have a tie here. I could have swapped some people around on my own personal rankings to break the tie, but I thought that was dishonest, and truth is in my name.
Whether it's scientific truth or historical truth or personal truth.
So what we're going to do is, in order to break this tie, we're going to take your votes from the poll, and that will be the tiebreaker. So Wesley Crusher had 24% of the vote, and Harry Kim had 14% of the vote, which means Wesley Crusher is the best Ensign.
The best.
That's right. Big surprise. If I had to personally pick, I probably would edge out. I would say Harry Kim, but Wesley Crusher is the winner for the best Ensign based on the criteria put forth at the beginning here. And yeah, congratulations to Wesley Crusher.
Shut up, Wesley.
What do you guys think? Obviously, all of this stuff is completely subjective, so I'm always interested to see what you guys think in the comments below. Where would you rank them in these different categories? Who do you think is the best ensign. And there are live polls right now for future videos for who's the best doctor, the best security chief, you know, the best engineer. All of these polls are live right now on my community tab. Go and vote. As long as the votes are in by the time I film the video, they will count. So go out there and vote. And if you like this video, definitely like it. Let me know that you guys want to see more of these videos. As long as you guys want to see them, I'm going to do them. So I had a lot of fun with this video. This is probably one of the most fun I've had doing a video in quite some time. I always love talking about Star Trek, and I like talking about the stuff I like far more than I like talking about the stuff that I dislike. I don't enjoy talking about things I don't like. I know my Star Trek videos are few and far between these days, but I am consistently working on Star Trek videos such as this one. With all that said, I really just want to thank everybody for checking out this video. Thank you, subscribers. All of you are awesome. And if you like this video, please like, comment, share, subscribe, do all the YouTube stuff, or don't. I'm not a beggar. I'm True64, and I'll always tell you the truth.
The first duty of every Starfleet officer is to the truth, whether it's scientific truth, or historical truth, or personal truth. It is the guiding principle on which Starfleet is based.